Welcome to the writer reads The Strays of Lunar One, Book 1, The Unwilling, Chapter 21, Escape Plans Awry. When I say go, move to the door and then out to your right. Walk that corridor like you own it, turn left and take the elevator, Florrie told them. Where to? Oliver asked. The elevator will know, Florrie replied. I'll make sure it stops. Where? Hangar deck, Florrie said simply. Now, go. Oliver and Lewis moved as one, Oliver barely missing a collision with Lewis's head on the way down. They reached the door as one and turned in sync. The door to their quarters closed with a hiss and a snap. Oliver flinched, but didn't look back. This way, he growled when Lewis looked at him. I know that, the man grumbled, and Oliver wondered how he hadn't registered asking for instructions. Two men passed them in the corridor, but Oliver didn't look at them twice. He was relying on Florrie to alert them. Lewis followed his lead, and the men passed without comment. Oliver listened to their footsteps, noting their continued movement when they passed the quarters he and Lewis had been held in. This is the transit block, Florrie explained. No one questions strangers here, as long as the strangers look like they know where they're going. The hangar deck will be slightly harder, but you should pass. Oliver nodded, not pausing as the door out of the transit quarters opened before him. They found the elevator, stepping into it as soon as the doors had opened. No one else was waiting. It's amazing how fast people take an elevator when it comes early, Florrie informed them. Such a shame they'll all be stuck on the top floor. Won't that alert them? Oliver asked, and Florrie chuckled. Of course it will, Florrie said, but the computers show it functioning normally, and their communicators show a connection while their calls go nowhere. I'll release it once you've left the system. Won't they notice? Lewis asked. Oh, yes, dear, but the delay will be such that they won't associate it with the disappearance of one insignificant shuttle. The elevator arrived and dinged open, and Oliver and Lewis stepped inside, gasping as it plunged downward. Lewis braced himself in the corner and looked up at the numbers ticking by. Is it supposed to be going this fast? He asked. No, dear, but the station doesn't know it's done it, so you're clear. To their relief, the elevator slowed before coming to a stop. The doors opened, and both men made their way out into the corridor, ignoring the men and women who walked onto it. One or two cast them curious looks, but they pretended not to notice and weren't challenged. Left, Florrie instructed, and they turned again. They'd barely gone 2 paces when Florrie spoke again. First left, now, now, now. She kept her voice low and calm, but Oliver could hear the tension running through it. First shuttle right, Florrie instructed, and they boarded. The hatch closed behind them, and they heard the dull clunk as the docking clamps released. Fasten your seat belts and please ensure your tray tables. Florrie let her voice fade. No? Well, I suppose you wouldn't be old enough to understand the reference. And you are? No, dear, but I watch a lot of documentaries. The shuttle lifted and the hangar doors opened. Oliver was aware of lights flashing red and people shouting, but he pressed himself back in his seat, grasped his straps, and closed his eyes. Lewis snickered. I didn't know you were the praying kind, bro. Oliver cracked an eyelid. I'm not. Well, you sure could have fooled me. Shut your snout. The shuttle dropped like a stone, and Lewis gasped. Oliver just gritted his teeth and clenched his hands around the harness. Hang on to your breeches, Florrie instructed, and Oliver wondered how the woman could think they'd be doing anything else. He was sitting rigidly in his seat as the shuttle bucked under re-entry when Florrie spoke again. I need you to move to the back of the craft and put on the parachute stored in the left-hand locker. You what? The shuttle is being tracked. You'll be leaving at a very low altitude. I understand you've done these before? I haven't, Lewis interrupted before Oliver could answer. Doesn't matter, sweetie, Florrie replied in a tone that made Oliver think of someone pinching a child's cheek. I'll have control of your chute. The look on Lewis's face might have made Oliver laugh if he hadn't felt sorry for the guy. Florrie sounded far too happy at the prospect, and her tone was one Oliver wouldn't have trusted in his best friend, let alone a stranger on whom his life might depend. He reached out and clasped his friend's shoulder. I'll stay close, he promised, and Lewis gave him a wide-eyed stare, followed by a brisk nod. Together they made their way to the end of the shuttle and pulled the chutes. Oliver donned his, aware of Lewis studying his every move. When the changeling copied him almost exactly, Oliver breathed a sigh of relief and then made adjustments accordingly. He checked Lewis's harness, buckles, and chute pack and then paused. "We're ready," he said, and the rear of the shuttle opened. "Out you go, then," Florey instructed, and Oliver grabbed Lewis's arm and jumped. After a second's resistance, Lewis jumped with him, his hand a vice on Oliver's wrist. Their eyes widened as they saw the lush canopy rushing toward them, and Lewis tucked his legs up as high as he could. Florey sighed. "I've got this," she said, and both their chutes deployed seconds before they struck the leaves. After that, several things happened at once. The shuttle's engines roared as the small craft put on power. The two men hit the trees and broke through, dragging their chutes after them. Sticky strands and fibers surrounded them and then tore as they plunged past. And Florey swore. "Fuck it! Of all the fucking really bad fucking luck! As soon as your boots hit the ground, run!" "Run?" Oliver wondered, and looked up. At first the chute blocked his vision, and then his harness released. "Arms up!" Florey yelled, and Oliver obeyed. Lewis copied him, and they both dropped away, falling faster now they didn't have their chutes to slow them down. "Tuck and roll!" Florey snapped, and they obeyed, coming to their feet seconds later. "Run!" Florey screamed. "Run!" Oliver grabbed Lewis and dragged him forward, pulling him through the relatively open ground beneath the trees. A second set of engines roared overhead, and Oliver nearly stopped. "So soon?" "It's not like I could keep any launch a secret," she told him. "The good news is it's going to take them a week to dredge the shuttle out of the bay I just drove it into. The bad news is the bounty hunters that just overflew you are some of the best equipped this side of the sun, and they'll see your heat signatures when they go back over the footage." "When will that be?" Oliver asked. "As soon as they suspect something's not right." "Which will be?" "Give them another 20 seconds," came the less comforting reply. "They're being less than their usual selves today." "Any more good news?" Oliver asked. "Well, they'll find it hard to follow your trail." "Why?" Oliver wanted to know. "I thought a great gaping hole in the canopy would have been a dead giveaway." "This is true, but the good news is that you crashed through a Sasaru colony," Florey told them. "And the bad news?" Oliver pressed, because there had to be some. "Well, the Sasaru will repair the canopy gap and make your canopies almost impossible to retrieve." "Almost," she emphasized. "But they're also highly territorial and pursue all potential threats for several days." "You mean something's chasing us?" Lewis's alarm was justified as far as Oliver was concerned. "Not just something," Florey told them, "but several somethings." "So," Oliver's mind raced, "those were webs we fell through, right?" "Correct. And if your momentum had been any slower, you'd have been stuck inside them. It's why I dropped you out of the harness." "Yeah, thanks for that," Lewis grumbled. "I could have left you in the harness." Florey sounded miffed. "But you wouldn't have made it to the ground. Sasaru are fast." Oliver's mind kept returning to one fact. "But those were webs," he stated. "Correct," Florey said. "You're telling me Sasaru are spiders." "No, Mr. Landstrom, I was not telling you that, but seeing as you asked, yes, the Sasaru are spiders." "So they're poisonous?" "Correct, Mr. Landstrom." "You mean they're going to bite us?" Lewis asked. "If they can catch you," Florey agreed, "which they will if you don't keep running." "So are they poisonous?" "Venomous, Mr. Havisham, and yes, they are." "How venomous?" "Their bite will paralyze you for up to 3 days at your current weight and metabolisms." "Oh, well, that's just fucking fantastic," Lewis snarked. "You will note that the bounty hunters have yet to catch up with you," Florey said with a sniff, "and that you still have some distance on the Sasaru, which you won't have if you don't save your breath for running." "We can't outrun them, though, can we?" Lewis asked. "Not as men." "This is correct, Mr. Havisham, but you will need to stop in order to shift, and I do not know if you have the distance for that." "Our wolves are faster," Oliver told her. "We'll risk it." "On your heads," Florey told them, just as engines warned them of another shuttle's approach. "Lewis, run another 20 paces, then stop and change," Oliver told him, still moving forward. "Maybe they'll stop to deal with me first." "I doubt it," Florey told him. "Sasaru hunt in packs." Oliver tapped Lewis on the shoulder. 20 paces, starting now." Lewis put on a burst of speed, running forward as Oliver stopped and turned. You'd better hope you're wrong, Florrie. There's a large stick to your right. That should draw them to you, as you will appear to be a threat. Oliver looked for the stick and sidestepped toward it. Florrie's warning was almost in time, but almost was not enough to stop him wrapping his hand around the stick, only to find it wasn't. I will get you out, Florrie told him as the stick bent under his hand, flaring a neck frill and turning to sink its fangs into his wrist. Oliver let it go, and it dropped to the ground and slithered away. Halfway to the nearest tree it stopped and reversed direction, and Oliver turned to run from it. The shuttle's engine seemed terribly loud, and he guessed they'd found the entry point in the canopy. But heat was racing up his arm, and his vision blurred. Sorry, Mr. Landstrom, but they're your best hope for survival. Florrie's voice seemed distant, and her words didn't make sense. Who was their best hope for survival? The shuttle ended up right over their heads, and Oliver turned his face away from the hot blast of its downdraft. Dark shapes scuttled past him, taller than Hun's and with twice as many legs and body parts. Oliver groaned. They'd been trying to outrun them. What had Florrie been thinking? He flinched as one of the closest exploded and ichor splashed across his face. Gasped as its body landed across him, limbs twitching. On the ground! Hands on your head! A woman yelled, and a blaster fired for emphasis. Don't make me shoot you, son. On the ground, barked out in a male voice, and Oliver tried to work out what was wrong with them. He was already on the ground, wasn't he? More blaster fire crackled out, and creatures chittered and squealed. Some fled back into the trees. Oliver's arm cramped, and he cried out. Hold still, boy. You're worth more alive, and I'd like to leave you uninjured, but if you push it. Fire rolled across Oliver's skin, followed by a wave of ice. 10 legions stabbed behind his eyes, and he groaned. Florrie's voice flowed through his head. Over here. You'll need to hurry if you want him alive. Ravelin wants him alive more than it wants him dead, the man bit back. That's all that matters. Flare snake venom, Florrie told him. Do you have the antivenin? On this world, given the bounties we chase. The woman gave a short bark of laughter. Hell's teeth we do. Oliver hoped that meant yes, but it was getting hard to breathe, and his eyes wouldn't open. His heart rate slowed. A shadow fell over him, and he shuddered. It was meant to be a roll that led him to being on his feet, and Oliver whimpered. Plastic clicked. How long ago? 3 minutes, 25 seconds. Double dose, then. There was a second click, then pressure over his heart. A hiss was followed by the sharp pain of a dozen needles punching through at once, and Oliver's body arched. The pressure lifted and moved to his throat. A following hiss was followed by darkness. A fading voice asked, You think he'll make it? Oliver slowed his descent long enough to hear the reply. He's going into stasis and then a Buford's. Ravelin can wait and Exarch can suck it. And the pup? He won't give us any trouble while we hold his alpha. Oliver wanted to laugh. This was Lewis they were talking about, right?